Our planet, a sphere of vibrant life and ceaseless change, is also a library of ancient stories. Across its continents, etched into deserts, carved into mountains, and rising from dusty plains, are creations of our ancestors that defy easy explanation. We find ourselves surrounded by architectural marvels and monumental structures whose true purpose and methods of creation remain shrouded in the mists of time. These are not merely relics of the past, they are enduring questions posed in stone and earth, challenging our understanding of what was possible and what our forebears believed. From the sun-scorched sands of Peru to the windswept plains of England, humanity has left an indelible mark. These are the fingerprints of forgotten rituals, lost technologies, and grand ambitions. We look upon them with a sense of profound wonder and a touch of humility. How did they move stones weighing hundreds of tons? What celestial knowledge did they possess to align their monuments with such precision? Were these tributes to the gods, markers for travelers, or perhaps something else entirely, something our modern minds have yet to conceive? The whispers of these mysteries echo through the ages, inviting us to look closer, to question, and to imagine. The answers, if they exist, are not always found in textbooks, but in the careful study of the sites themselves, and in the enduring landscapes that cradle them. Today, we explore the most enigmatic places on our planet, many of which may conceal fascinating secrets. We embark on a journey not just across the globe, but deep into the heart of human ingenuity and belief. In the rugged eastern highlands of Turkey, nestled within the mountains of Ararat, lies a feature of extraordinary interest. It is a vast, boat-shaped formation known as the Durupinar site. For some, this is not a mere geological curiosity, but a tangible link to one of humanity's oldest and most profound stories. The tale of a great flood and a single vessel that saved life on Earth. The biblical account of Noah's Ark describes a colossal ship coming to rest in this very region, and the dimensions of this landform startlingly match those described in the ancient texts. It is a coincidence so profound that it has fueled decades of impassioned debate. The site was first brought to global attention in the mid-20th century, and subsequent investigations have yielded tantalizing, yet inconclusive, results. Early surveys using ground-penetrating radar seem to reveal an internal structure, a pattern of regular lines and right angles that suggested something artificial buried beneath the soil, perhaps the fossilized ribs of a tremendous ancient hull. Researchers have reported findings of what they believe to be petrified wood and even iron rivets, evidence, they claim, of a colossal man-made structure slowly returning to the Earth from which its components were first grown. However, the scientific community remains deeply divided. Many geologists contend that the Durupinar site is a natural formation, a syncline, where layers of rock have been folded by geological pressures into a shape that coincidentally mimics a boat. They argue that the supposed internal structures are simply natural patterns in the sediment and rock. Access to the site is fraught with difficulty, hampered by its remote location and the persistent political instability of the region. And so, the mystery endures. Is this the final resting place of a legendary ark? Or is it a remarkable trick of the light and land, a geological Rorschach test onto which we project our most enduring myths? Far to the south, in the stark, arid expanse of Chile's Atacama Desert, a colossal figure lies etched upon a lonely hillside. This is the giant of Tarapaca, the largest prehistoric anthropomorphic geoglyph in the world, stretching over 119 meters from head to toe. For at least 1,000 years, this solitary guardian has watched over the desolate landscape. Its creation involved the careful removal of the dark, oxidized surface rocks to reveal the lighter soil beneath. A simple technique, yet one that required immense effort and a clear vision on a monumental scale. Who this giant is meant to be and why it was placed here remains one of South America's most compelling enigmas. The figure is stylized with a rectangular body, long legs, and a head adorned with what appears to be a headdress of radiating lines. In one hand, it seems to hold a staff or a spear. Theories about its identity and purpose are as vast as the desert itself. Some scholars believe it represents a deity, perhaps a creator god or a spirit connected to the sky or the earth, a powerful symbol meant to be seen from afar by those crossing the harsh terrain. Its imposing presence could have served as a marker of a sacred or powerful place, a warning or an object of worship for the cultures that thrived here long before the Inca. Another compelling theory suggests a more practical, though no less fascinating, purpose. The Atacama was once a crucial corridor for llama caravans, transporting goods between the mountains and the coast. The giant, it is proposed, could have been an elaborate celestial calendar or a navigational aid. The lines radiating from its head might align with the moon or stars at certain times of the year, helping travelers and traders to mark the seasons and find their way. Was this a god, a map, or a message? Without any written records from its creators, the giant of Tarapaca remains silent, its secrets held fast by the dry desert air. On the outskirts of modern Cairo, where the city's haze meets the desert's edge, stand the last surviving wonders of the ancient world, the pyramids of Giza. These structures are so iconic, so deeply embedded in our collective consciousness, that it is easy to forget what a profound mystery they represent. The Great Pyramid, built for the pharaoh Khufu, was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for nearly 4 millennia. It is a masterpiece of architectural precision, composed of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, fitted together with an accuracy that modern engineers still marvel at. The sheer scale of the construction is baffling. How did a civilization, working with tools of copper and stone, quarry, transport, and lift these colossal blocks to such heights? Theories range from immense earthen ramps to complex systems of internal pulleys and levers, yet no definitive evidence has ever been found. The ancient Egyptians left behind countless hieroglyphs detailing their religious beliefs, their history, and their daily lives, but not a single text has been discovered that explains precisely how they built their greatest monuments. This silence is perhaps the most bewildering aspect of all, a void at the very heart of their monumental achievement. Adding another layer to the enigma is the pyramid's celestial alignment. In the 1980s, a controversial but captivating theory emerged suggesting that the layout of the 3 Giza pyramids was a deliberate terrestrial map of the 3 stars forming Orion's belt. The positioning, the relative sizes of the pyramids, and even the nearby Nile River mirroring the Milky Way seemed too specific to be a coincidence. Was this an attempt to create a heaven on earth? To connect the pharaoh's eternal resting place with the celestial afterlife of the god Osiris, who was identified with the Orion constellation? The debate rages on, but looking up at the Giza Plateau on a clear night, it is difficult not to wonder if these stone mountains were built to speak not just to us, but to the stars. On the Salisbury Plain in southern England, under often gray skies, stands a silent circle of giant Stonehenge. This prehistoric monument, constructed in stages over a period of 1,500 years, is one of the most famous and yet least understood archaeological sites on Earth. Its outer ring is composed of sarsens, massive sandstone blocks weighing up to 30 tons, which were somehow transported from quarries 20 miles away. Even more remarkably, its inner circle is made of bluestones, smaller but still weighing several tons each, which have been traced to the Preseli Hills in Wales, a staggering 150 miles distant. The question of transportation is a monumental one. How did Neolithic people, with no wheels and no beasts of burden capable of such a task, move these colossal stones across such a vast and varied landscape? Did they use wooden sledges on rollers, or perhaps float them on rafts along rivers and coastal waters? Each theory presents its own immense challenges. The effort must have been immense, involving the coordinated labor of hundreds, if not thousands, of people over many generations. This was clearly a project of supreme importance, a communal obsession that drove them to achieve the seemingly impossible. The purpose of Stonehenge is an even deeper mystery. Its principal axis is famously aligned with the sunrise on the summer solstice and the sunset on the winter solstice, suggesting it was a vast astronomical observatory or a temple dedicated to the movements of the sun and moon. It was undoubtedly a place of ritual. Excavations have revealed human remains, indicating it served as a burial ground, perhaps for a royal dynasty or a priestly elite. Was it a place of healing, a celestial calendar, or a sacred link between the worlds of the living and the dead? The stones keep their counsel, offering no clear answers, only a profound sense of awe at the devotion of their builders. In one of the most remote inhabited places on Earth, a tiny volcanic island in the middle of the Pacific, a silent, brooding population of giants stands watch. These are the Moai of Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. Nearly 1,000 of these monolithic statues were carved by the island's early inhabitants between the 13th and 16th centuries. With their oversized heads, prominent brows, and enigmatic expressions, they are instantly recognizable. Carved from the compressed volcanic ash of the Rano Raraku quarry, They represent one of the most remarkable artistic and cultural achievements of any ancient society. The prevailing theory is that the moai are representations of deified ancestors, powerful chiefs whose presence continued to protect their clans long after death. They were erected on stone platforms called ahu, almost always facing inland, keeping a symbolic watch over their descendants in the villages below. The sheer effort involved is staggering. A single statue could take a team of carvers a year to complete, but the carving was only half the battle. The greater mystery is how these statues, some weighing over 80 tons and standing 10 meters tall, were transported from the quarry to their final positions miles away. Oral traditions speak of the moai walking to their platforms, a phrase that has inspired numerous experimental archaeology projects. Some suggest a system of ropes, levers, and rocking motions, allowing a team to painstakingly inch the statues forward. Others propose wooden sledges or rollers, a difficult proposition on an island with limited timber resources. The mystery deepens with the evidence that, for some unknown reason, the carving and erection of moai ceased abruptly. The quarry is littered with nearly 400 unfinished statues, including the largest ever attempted El Gigante, a monster of a moai that would have been over 21 meters tall. What catastrophe or societal shift caused the Rapa Nui to suddenly abandon their most sacred tradition? In the scorching Colorado desert, near the border of California and Arizona, lies a series of figures so immense they can only be truly appreciated from the sky. These are the Blythe intaglios, enormous geoglyphs scraped into the desert floor. Like their counterparts in Peru, they were created by removing the dark layer of desert pavement to expose the lighter soil underneath. The collection includes several human figures, some over 170 feet long, as well as animal forms, believed to represent mountain lions and geometric spirals. For centuries, they lay unnoticed by the wider world, known only to the local Mojave and Kutchin peoples. Their rediscovery by a pilot in the 1930s brought them to public attention, but it did little to solve the mystery of their origin. They are believed to be between 450 and 2,000 years old, but their precise age and the identity of their creators remain uncertain. The local Native American tribes hold these figures as sacred, linking them to their creation myths. One of the human figures is said to represent Mastamo, the creator of all life, while another represents Hutakul, a powerful puma man. These figures were, and still are, part of a living spiritual tradition. But what was their original purpose? Why create art on a scale that could not be fully seen by the artists themselves from the ground? Perhaps they were not meant for human eyes at all, but as offerings or messages to powerful sky deities, visible only from the heavens. They may also have been ceremonial dance grounds, their outlines guiding the steps of ancient rituals. The figures are fragile, vulnerable to the elements and human activity. As we work to preserve them, we are also preserving a profound question about the human need to make a mark, to communicate with forces larger than ourselves, and to shape the very earth into a testament of faith. In the arid coastal plains of southern Peru, a vast and ancient canvas unfolds. This is the home of the Nazca Lines, a collection of hundreds of geoglyphs that are among archaeology's most profound enigmas. Etched into the desert floor between 500 BC and 500 AD, these designs range from simple geometric shapes, lines, trapezoids, and spirals, to complex and stylized depictions of animals and plants. There are hummingbirds, spiders, monkeys, and fish, some stretching for hundreds of meters, all executed with a remarkable precision that is only fully revealed from the air. The creation of the lines was simple. The reddish-brown, iron oxide-coated pebbles of the desert surface were removed, revealing the lighter-colored ground beneath. The dry, windless climate has preserved them almost perfectly for 2 millennia. But why they were created is a question that has spawned a universe of theories. The earliest serious hypothesis, proposed by the mathematician Maria Rieca, who dedicated her life to studying the lines, was that they formed a colossal astronomical calendar. She suggested the lines aligned with the rising and setting of significant stars and constellations, helping the Nazca people mark solstices and predict seasons for agriculture. Other theories are more ritualistic in nature. Some scholars argue that the lines were ceremonial pathways, with the Nazca people walking along them during religious processions, perhaps to appease gods associated with water and fertility, a crucial concern in such a dry region. Still others have proposed more esoteric ideas, from the infamous suggestion that they were runways for alien spacecraft, to the idea that they were maps of underground water sources. The truth is, we simply do not know. The Nazca left no written language, and so their giant drawings remain a silent, beautiful, and deeply mystifying message from a lost world. Just a short distance from the famous Nazca Plains, a different and perhaps older mystery is carved into the landscape. These are the Palpa geoglyphs. Unlike the Nazca lines, which are mostly on the flat desert floor, the majority of these figures were created on the slopes of hills and ridges. This makes them visible from the valleys below, suggesting they were intended for a different audience, or a different purpose. Created by the Paracas and Topara cultures, which predate the Nazca, these geoglyphs represent an earlier chapter in the story of desert art. The style here is distinct. The figures are less abstract and more recognizably human or mythological. The most famous grouping is known as the family, a collection of figures on a hillside that seem to depict a tribal or royal group. Another remarkable image is that of an orca, a powerful marine predator, etched into the hills far from the ocean, suggesting a deep mythological connection to the sea. These were not hidden messages for the gods. They seemed to be public declarations, territorial markers, or illustrations of important cultural narratives, displayed for all to see. The Palpa geoglyphs also show evidence of being altered and added to over time. Earlier Paracas figures were sometimes partially erased or incorporated into later Nazca designs, indicating a long, continuous tradition of landscape modification. This region was a dynamic canvas where successive cultures literally drew over one another's work. By studying these overlapping creations, archaeologists can trace the evolution of religious ideas and artistic styles. The Palpa figures provide crucial context for the Nazca lines, showing us that the impulse to draw on the earth was a deep and enduring one in ancient Peru, a tradition that evolved in fascinating ways over 1,000 years. High in the Andes, overlooking the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, lies the monumental fortress of Sacsayhuaman. The name is often translated as House of the Sun, or more evocatively, Satisfied Falcon. This vast complex is a testament to the Inca Empire's power and engineering genius. Its most defining feature is its series of 3 massive, zigzagging terrace walls. These walls are built from colossal stones, some estimated to weigh over 120 tons, far heavier than any of the blocks used in the Great Pyramid of Giza. They are not uniform blocks, but enormous, irregular polygons. The precision of the stonework is almost beyond belief. These multi-ton, multi-sided boulders are fitted together without a drop of mortar, so tightly that not even a sheet of paper can be inserted between them. How the Inca quarried these stones, transported them several miles from the mountains, and shaped them with such flawless accuracy using only bronze and stone tools, is a mystery that has stumped engineers for centuries. The traditional explanation is that it was simply a matter of immense manpower, patience, and time. But the sheer perfection of the joints suggests a technique that we have yet to fully comprehend. Sacsayhuaman's design is not just for show. It is a masterpiece of seismic engineering. The inward-leaning walls, the rounded corners, and the interlocking stones allow the structure to move and resettle during an earthquake, a frequent occurrence in this region. While the Spanish conquistadors later built their cathedrals in Cusco with rigid mortar, many of them collapsed in subsequent tremors, while the Inca walls of Sacsayhuaman have stood firm for over 500 years. It was both a fortress and a temple, a place of immense strategic and spiritual importance, built with a knowledge of stone and earth that seems almost supernatural. In the small village of Abaneri in Rajasthan, India, the earth opens up into a breathtaking architectural wonder. This is Chandbauri, one of the oldest and deepest stepwells in the world. Built over 1,000 years ago, it is not simply a well, but an inverted pyramid plunging 13 stories, nearly 100 feet into the ground. Its 3 sides are lined with a perfectly symmetrical, mesmerizing maze of 3,500 narrow steps, forming a geometric pattern that is both beautiful and, honestly, kind of bewildering. This was a practical solution to the problem of accessing water in a region known for its arid climate. As the water level fluctuated dramatically between the monsoon and dry seasons, the steps allowed villagers to reach the water no matter its depth. But the sheer scale and architectural complexity of Chandbauri suggest it was much more than a utilitarian structure. The 4th side features a series of pavilions and royal viewing galleries, adorned with intricate carvings of deities. This indicates the well was also a place of great social and religious importance, a community hub, and a temple dedicated to Harshat Mata, the goddess of joy and happiness. The construction itself is an enigma. How were the plans for such a complex subterranean structure conceived and executed with such precision over a millennium ago? The geometric intricacy seems almost computer-generated in its perfection. Debates continue about its primary function. Was it a sacred water temple where ritual bathing took place, a cool retreat from the scorching summer heat for the royal court, or a purely practical water source whose design was an expression of artistic and mathematical pride? Chanbauri is a testament to the fact that for our ancestors, function and beauty, the sacred and the profane, were often one and the same. Near the shores of Lake Titicaca in southern Peru, a place steeped in Inca mythology, a strange and imposing rock face stands alone in the landscape. Carved into this natural red sandstone outcrop is a massive, door-like structure known as Aramu Muru, or the Gate of the Gods. It consists of a giant, flat-faced niche 7 meters wide and 7 meters tall, with a smaller T-shaped alcove carved into its base, just large enough for a person to crouch inside. There is no visible mechanism, no hint of an actual door. It is simply a facade, a doorway to nowhere. Local legends, however, tell a very different story. They speak of a portal, a gateway to other worlds or dimensions. One of the most popular tales involves an Inca priest named Aramu Muru, who, fleeing from the Spanish conquistadors with a sacred golden sun disk, used the door to disappear into the rock, never to be seen again. The golden disk was said to be the key that activated the portal. These stories have transformed the site into a pilgrimage destination for mystics and spiritual seekers from around the world, who come to meditate and attempt to connect with the energies they believe emanate from the rock. While archaeologists view it as an abandoned Incan carving project, perhaps the beginning of a tomb or temple that was never completed, its spiritual significance cannot be dismissed. The precision of the carving and its isolated location suggest it held a special purpose. Was it a place for shamanic rituals, a symbolic representation of the passage between the world of the living and the spirit world? The T-shaped niche is reminiscent of the chacana, or Inca cross, a powerful symbol in Andean cosmology. Whether a physical portal or a spiritual one, Aramu Muru stands as a powerful monument to the belief in worlds beyond our own. In the remote, sun-blasted mountains of the Tigray region in northern Ethiopia, faith is not just believed, it is climbed. Here, carved directly into the sheer cliffs and sandstone spires, are more than 120 churches, some dating back to the 4th century. These are not buildings constructed on the mountain, they are sanctuaries excavated within it. This extraordinary feat of rock-hewn architecture was born of necessity. In a region historically beset by conflict, carving churches into inaccessible peaks provided the ultimate defense, protecting sacred texts, precious artifacts, and the faithful themselves from raiders. The journey to many of these churches is a pilgrimage of immense physical and spiritual challenge. To reach Abuna Yamatagu, perhaps the most famous of these cliff-faced churches, one must first scale a sheer 200-foot rock wall, using little more than ancient handholds and footholds worn smooth by centuries of use. The final leg involves inching along a narrow ledge with a terrifying drop of hundreds of feet on either side. It is a journey that requires absolute trust and unwavering faith, a physical act of devotion that purges fear before one even enters the sacred space. Inside, the reward is breathtaking. The cool, quiet interior of the church, carved by hand centuries ago, is adorned with remarkably well-preserved frescoes. Vivid paintings of apostles, angels, and biblical scenes cover the walls and ceilings, their colors still vibrant after more than 500 years. These artworks, protected from the elements by the mountain itself, provide a rare and precious window into Ethiopia's ancient Christian traditions. These churches in the sky are more than just places of worship. They are living testaments to the resilience of faith in the face of adversity, and the incredible lengths people will go to protect what they hold sacred. Deep in the Ethiopian highlands, there is a place where a complex of 11 medieval churches stands, not built from the ground up, but chiseled down from the living rock. This is Lalibela, a site so extraordinary that local legend attributes its construction to angels. Carved in the 12th and 13th centuries under the reign of King Lalibela, these monolithic churches were conceived as a new Jerusalem for Christians who were unable to make the pilgrimage to the Holy Land due to conflicts in the region. The entire site is a symbolic recreation of Jerusalem, with even a river being renamed the River Jordan. The churches are connected by a labyrinth of dark tunnels, secret passages, and ceremonial walkways, all hewn from the same volcanic tuff. They represent a staggering variety of architectural styles. Some are carved into cliff faces, while others, like the magnificent Church of St. George, are completely freestanding, isolated from the parent rock by deep, hand-carved trenches. The Church of St. George, in the shape of a perfect Greek cross, is the masterpiece of the site, a 15-meter-tall monolith sunk into the earth, its roof flush with the surrounding ground. The legend of King Lalibela states that he was taken to heaven in a dream, where he was given divine instructions for the church's construction. The story says that men worked by day, and angels, with twice the strength and speed, continued the work by night. While archaeologists credit human hands, the scale and speed of the construction, believed to have been completed in just 23 years, remains a source of wonder. How did they drain the trenches of water? How did they plan such complex three-dimensional structures with such flawless execution from the top down? Lalibela is not just a collection of buildings. It is a single, massive sculpture, a work of devotional art on an epic scale. Our journey through these enigmatic places comes to a close, but the questions they pose linger on. From the boat-shaped mound in Turkey to the rock-hewn churches of Ethiopia, we have seen how our ancestors inscribed their beliefs, their fears, and their genius onto the very face of the planet. These sites are the enduring echoes of cultures that saw the world differently than we do. They remind us that there are forms of knowledge and ambition that cannot always be captured in written records, but are instead expressed in stone, earth, and monumental effort. As we reflect on these enduring mysteries, we are humbled by the vastness of what we do not know. Each new discovery, whether it's a hidden chamber in a pyramid or a new understanding of celestial alignments, often opens up a dozen new questions. It is entirely possible, even probable, that many more secrets lie hidden, buried beneath desert sands, submerged under rising seas, or concealed within dense jungles, waiting for a future generation to uncover them. The story of our past is not a closed book. It is a landscape with many unwritten chapters. The human spirit is one of curiosity. It is this drive that pushed our ancestors to build these wonders, and it is the same drive that compels us to try and understand them today. The world is a museum of unsolved puzzles, and we are all detectives in the grand investigation of our own history. What other enigmas might our world be hiding? Let us know which place fascinates you the most. The greatest mystery of all might be the one we haven't found yet.